Find it. Yeah, so welcome everyone. This is our Visioning Empathy Circle that we do this every Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And the purpose is to just to talk about our vision for the Empathy Center. This is it behind me. It's a 555,000 square foot was previously a seminary. My brother bought it, asked me to set up a retreat center there, and we're setting it up sort of based on the value of empathy and really supporting an empathy movement. And so this meeting today, or call today, is for people just to pop in, learn more about the center, share any vision you have for how to create an empathy-based retreat center and an empathy movement for that matter. And also we have our empathy facilitator training. And if you take part in 2 of these empathy circles, you can then take part in one of those trainings, and you'll learn a little bit about we'll do an empathy circle, which is kind of one of our core practices, which I find is the best gateway practice for learning empathy skills and sort of an empathic way of being. So that's a little bit about our intention. We're going to go for about 90 minutes, and we'll start with just an introduction. If you just want to share your name, your location, and why you're here, we'll just hear from each of you, and I'll just model it. I'm Edwin Rutch. I'm from the director of the Empathy Center, and I'm just wanting to build a more empathic world because I see empathy as a core value that's very much needed in the world, especially with all the wars and whatnot. And also, right now I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area where I've been living, El Cerrito, but tomorrow I drive down to the Empathy Center for 3.5 weeks or so. So I'll be there. So Atina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, I'm Tina Jones. I'm from Delaware. I'm here because I am interested in learning more about empathy circles and how they connect to nonviolent communication, and also looking for a nice, peaceful space to practice and learn. So that's what brought me here. Thank you.
Thank you. Sonia, would you introduce yourself? Give you a chance to swallow
Hello.
that drink.
Hi, I'm Sonia. My partner and his family live on the next ridge over from what is now the Empathy Center. So I've always been really curious about the seminary, and I found it to be really beautiful. And I was driving up there the other day and saw that there was a sign that said the Empathy Center, and I said, that sounds really cool. I'm in the wellness world as well. I facilitate breath work, body work, energy work, and work in the water. And yeah, there's no way to do these things, this kind of work without having a high threshold for empathy for the people that I work with. I find it to be very important in life and in the world, and I'm super curious. It's super. I just reached out a couple of days ago, and now finding out about what you guys are doing. So this feels like great timing.
Great. Well, welcome, neighbor. Bill?
Yeah, my name is Bill Filler. I'm a retired special education teacher. I'm working with Edwin, doing the trainings and going to demonstrations and things for about 6 years. And live in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm excited about going down to do the training on the 16th, 17th, and 18th. Thanks.
Jeanette?
Well, thank you, first of all, for hosting this and all the other places you host. I live in Santa Barbara. I worked at another retreat center for 10 years. And I'm very interested in what is happening at the center in many different ways, visually, group-wise, the physicality of it, the gardens, and I'm just waiting as I learn more about it. Interested in empathy in both education, healthcare, and creating more circles, and wondering how the center can be really hold the space for this movement out, and how it can facilitate maybe some groups during non-training times, how that could happen. So I'm just curious about where I could fit in and what's needed. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for making notes of some of these comments to address. Jonathan?
Well, thank you, Edwin. My name is Jonathan Gordon, and I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, probably less than a half a mile from where Edwin is. First, I was starting to say I was a community activist, and that's true. But over time, I've been participating now for a year. It's become a source of community and strength. And I think that in this internet age where everyone has their little messaging devices, this type of communication we're doing is going to be critical for us to maintain over the next decade, because we as a planet, we as people, we need community. We need to talk to each other. We need to care for each other. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Jolie?
Hi, I'm Jolie, and I live about a half hour with no traffic from the center. I'm an educator, and I've been involved with empathy work through nonviolent communication and learning through that way of practicing empathy and getting more connected to the community. I'm really excited about the creation of the center. My passion and vision going forward for my life continuing is to educate about empathy and to help make it more accessible and understandable to people of all ages. And I really wish to bring it more in the educational centers and schools and families as well. So that's my focus, and I really wish to contribute my skills to supporting the center in like facility support, administrative support. I was thinking this week as I was pondering since the last meeting, kind of also be an ambassador to help share about the center, and even possibly stay on site to help facilitate retreats or be a liaison there to help support the center. So I'm curious about finding out how I could fit in to be of support. I really wish to be of support. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Beth?
Hi, everyone. I'm Beth Prince. I live in Santa Barbara, lived there 10 years. I'm looking for ways to apply my skill set to the endeavor. I have a medical background. I'm a trained physician, but I'm not practicing anymore. I'm looking for different ways to kind of express my skills. I think I'm a people person. So like I'd like to be kind of if I get involved, do that in a hands-on way and interacting with people that are there. And I'm learning the empathy training. I just got out of the recent session. Just think it's good to know how to do that. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Raymond, we're just doing name, location, and why you're interested in the visioning circle, the empathy visioning circle.
My name is Ray Medeiros. I live in Concord, California, which is a suburb of San Francisco. I'm very interested in empathy. All my life, I've been very empathetic towards people and situations. I started a nonprofit about 10 years ago with the idea that I would help other nonprofits achieve their vision. And so I would be more than happy to help in any way that I possibly could.
Welcome. So the next part, we're going to go into do the empathy circle practice. I have one more person. We'll let them in, I guess, and then need to close. And so we'll go into the how-to of the empathy circle. And I know Beth and Jeanette have just done the training. Would either of you like to give the how-to? Because that's part of the practice of the training, is that you get to practice explaining how the empathy circle works. And I see Beth, you're unmuted, so
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Okay, great.
Unless Jeanette, you want to? Okay, I'll just go ahead. So the empathy circle, the purpose of the empathy circle is to allow people an opportunity to practice being active listeners to another person's experience, and also to share their experience in a way that they can feel heard, and to increase understanding amongst different individuals. And the empathy circle basically has three main roles, and one is the facilitator, and that person does the introduction and keeps time. And the other two roles are the active listener, and that person reflects back what they heard to the speaker. And that's the third role, is the active, or the third main role is the active speaker, who has 3 minutes to speak what's on their mind or follow a theme chosen by the facilitator. And then if there are more than 3 people in the circle, there are passive listeners whose role is to just be there and be present and be supportive silently. And the empathy circle is meant to be a free place for free speech. People are free to speak. The main rules, guidelines are really keeping time, staying within time, and doing your best to reflect back what the person said without judging, analyzing, editing, offering sympathy. Really, is just for active listening. And I probably left something out. Anything else?
Yeah, you just share a little bit, an idea or two. You get, as a speaker, then you get your reflection. The person reflects back, and then you check, did they understand what I was saying or not? If they did, you continue. If they didn't, maybe say what you're saying in other words until you feel heard to your satisfaction. So that's the essence. The easiest is just to observe how it's done, just jump into it. And everybody introduce themselves, name, location, and why they were here. Katrine, if you would like to do that. Katrin, if you'd like to just introduce yourself. You're muted.
I'm the first time here.
Okay.
My English is not very good. And why am I here? I'm interested in the empathy circle, and I would like to listen more than speaking.
Okay, well, welcome. And we just explained how the empathy circle works. Before we go into the circle, I will put in our topic for today. What is your vision for an empathy-based retreat center in Santa Barbara, California? And how might you like to be involved, or whatever's on your mind? We'll do 4-minute turns this time. So if somebody would like to keep the time. I don't know, I may have a watch there to keep time.
I'll do it.
Okay, you'll do it. I'm thinking maybe we just do a couple of shared, turns, and then we'll divide into 2 groups, just to get kind of started and show everyone how it works. So, I don't know, Bill, would you be the first listener? And if someone wants to speak to Bill, then I'll be making some breakout rooms too. So, Looks like Jonathan is waving his hand. He's jumping right in. Okay.
Well, thank you, Edwin. So I'd like to share a video with you. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Okay, so you want to share a video with us that you're going to put in the chat?
And this is a video that Edwin recommended to me, I think 2 weeks ago. And it is Empathizing with Racism, Daryl Davis and Edwin Rush.
So it's a video that Edwin turned you on to, and it was Edwin interviewing Daryl Davis, empathizing with racism.
And I ended up spending, oh gosh, about 2 or 3 hours studying the video.
And you spent about 2 or 3 hours studying the video.
And of course, I did homework and listened to a number of Daryl Davis's interviews.
And so you did due diligence and did homework, and you listened to several others interviews by Daryl Davis.
And first of all, I want to share with everyone here on Edwin's YouTube channel, there is a tremendous body of interviews that Edwin did with many of the movers and shakers around the world who are educators in empathy.
So you want to point people towards Edwin's website, in which there are a lot of interviews that he's done over the years with people in the empathy movement.
And when I say a lot, over 300. I mean, there was a lot of videos there.
Right, over 300 to be specific. Well, to be generally specific.
What I learned and what I was really focused on was this wonderful riddle that Daryl Davis told Edwin, which illustrates cognitive bias.
So what was stood out for you is this riddle that Daryl Davis told Edwin about cognitive bias.
And I actually have gone out now and did the same riddle to a couple of other people.
And you've posed that same riddle to a couple of other people.
And lo and behold, amazingly enough, it really demonstrates how you can have a blind spot or a cognitive bias.
So it, lo and behold, what you found is that posing that riddle really exposed how people can have cognitive bias or blind spot.
And I have one question for Edwin. Listen, this was an Oscar performance. Was it scripted, or did you guys just do that on the spot?
Okay. Do you have one question for Edwin? You said like an Oscar performance. You're very impressed. And was it scripted or was it improvisational?
Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Jeanette, you ready to listen?
Yes, thank you.
Well, to go to visiting for the Empathy Center. So I see the Empathy Center as a place where people certainly learn the empathy circle practice. I'll stop there.
You see the center as a foundational learning center and practice.
Right, for the empathy circle practice, and others, yeah.
And others. That's the main foundation.
Yeah, I mean, and what I say, what I think the empathy circle does is it sort of frames things, and makes a wonderful frame for investigating empathy and other things.
You're focusing on the center as a structure, a framing for what empathy is, and then everything else that could come out of it.
Yeah, not the structure, the buildings itself as a framing, but the empathy circle is the frame.
Right, the structure of the empathy circle, the structure
right.
of the process of
Right.
the empathy training, or the experience of it.
Yeah, and what I really find exciting is that I think it actually, once you've done that as a basic step, it enhances other more sophisticated trainings. Yeah, and that's what I mean. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's foundational, and then it can open to other things and evolve into other aspects of it.
Okay. And one of the aspects of the empathy circle training is that you don't have to be perfect. And so to role model that, I forgot to start my timer. So I will just say that I feel fully heard, and you can be the next speaker.
Thank you so much. That Edwin, would you like to be my listener?
Yes, listening.
Okay. Having had some exposure to centers and hospitality work, I am wondering about the first steps of what will actually take place at the center, because there's so many aspects to this.
Yeah, I think you've had experience with other in the hospitality field, and you're wondering, like, what's sort of the first step that will happen at the Empathy Center?
I realize there's a lot of physical components of operational facility and landscaping and all the things we can see.
And there's one aspect, so this physical aspect of that needs to be done.
Yes. And I'm curious about how the community can know about, like, one training a week. It's not even a training, an experience that's open to the community in gathering people, having it known like it's a certain day of the week and there's a center in the afternoon, or there's a gathering to get more entrenched in actually being immersed in it. So I'm just curious about how the center can, besides the operational, how it can just jump in and start it.
Yeah, so you're looking at more the programming part of it, how to get started with the programming. How can there be sort of ongoing programs there?
Yes. And I'm wondering, what is the timing between just moving forward as opposed to waiting till it's, really well planned? Like, where is this soft spot between just going for it and waiting till there are a lot of pieces in the works?
And you're sort of looking at the balance of just starting versus a very more organized, planned sort of approach. So where is that? Where's the medium there? What's the approach?
Yes. So the center becomes known that X happens, and that's just one of the thoughts.
Yeah, those are just one thought where the community knows that something what's happening there.
And then the other aspects, like the hospitality, there's food, there's probably a zillion other components going on. But to me, I guess it's that it's just holding the space for more of this to happen there.
And just how to hold the space with the food and all the logistics to have more events be happening there.
Yes. And I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Okay.
I will.
I'll speak to Beth then.
Okay, listening.
Yeah, so in terms of what Jeanette is saying is we're already starting. So the workshops, we're starting with the training, in-person training. There's 2 groups that are going to be meeting there monthly. So we're looking, the space is already, we have some spaces that any group, Sonia, I know is a body worker or has workshops, maybe, you know, come hold some workshops. So we're already ready to hold day-long events.
Okay, so in response to Jeanette, you're saying it's already there's already some stuff going on in place and some workshops, and you're open to other modalities like body work and other things.
And you know, we'll be scaling up the empathy circle training. So we're doing it once, maybe every 2 months, hopefully every month, and then even more often. So that's scaling up. So we're in the process of scaling up. If some group wants to use the space, you know, we have space for them to use.
Okay, so you're not only getting groups going and allowing groups to start using it, you feel prepared to start scaling up.
And I'm hoping that, you know, people like yourself, Beth, and Jeanette, who are living in Santa Barbara, have done the training, that we could hold weekly empathy circles, sort of like, you know, there's AA groups that meet every week, that we have an ongoing Sunday empathy, you know, cafe meeting there with, you know, different local people helping the host, and just like we're doing here, but in person.
Okay, great. So I'm hearing you say that you're ready to utilize the people that are local to get as kind of a framework going. Just keep starting simple, just having a weekly meeting, and it can be as simple as how they format an AA meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll be using the empathy circle, but I just mean it's
It would be
ongoing.
as a model,
Yeah, as a model, as
Definitely.
weekly. The other is I was on an email list with some of the sort of religious leaders in the community. You know, the old mission. You know, the synagogues, other churches, and they were looking what kind of response could they do to like the war in the Middle East. And they want to do like a march with, you know, candlelight vigil, prayer, and mindfulness is one sort of approach.
Okay, so even religious leaders have reached out to you and they have ideas, and they've been talking about vigils, marches, or other purposes to use the center.
Yeah, they weren't using the center, but for an event in Santa Barbara. And I would think that an empathy circle, like going to, you know, a public park and then having open empathy circles as an approach could be something to, because I find that prayer and just mindfulness doesn't give you the tools for actually solving war, let's say, whereas the empathy circle is actually a modality where you actually learn practices that are helpful for conflict mediation. So it would be sort of modeling, giving a model of what could be done in these places. And people, yeah, so I think it would be very effective.
Okay, so I'm hearing you're saying, clarifying the point to me is that like the role you're seeing as empathy, train people from the center, go to where these things are taking place, and modeling this way of interacting, and you're commenting on how much deeper it can go or further it can go than some of the things there. Like
the prayer, you know, prayer, all those things, mindfulness kind of creates, you know, more calmness and so forth. But actual relational skills, I think, is what's really needed to is kind of like the next step, and that's, I think, what we have to offer and support.
Yeah, so you're saying how we have something unique to offer that goes deeper than really gets into the conversation of it.
And I'm also looking to start, I've been looking for the design community to start human-centered design. It's called co-design or participatory design, co-creation. It's the design community that has these processes that start with empathy. And I'd like to get that community, like an ongoing group started, like how do we design community at the center? But I'm looking for those designers that would be interested in Santa Barbara to have regular sort of design meetings.
Okay, so you're interested in getting people that are involved, know about design.
Yeah, it's human-centered design is the
human-centered
basic.
design.
Yeah, it's
a new term for me. Human
Human-centered design. And it's out of like Stanford. They have a whole department on human-centered design. It's in the tech field here in the Bay Area where I am. It's a whole design process. It's very creative. And anyway, I want to bring it to the center too.
Right. So they're using that in academics and in industry, in tech, and
yeah,
excited about it and want to bring it to the center.
And I want to do it just to check. My time is up, but we can break into 2 groups. And everybody has more time to speak, or just keep in the bigger group where you kind of see where everyone is. So who wants to break into smaller groups? Or, okay, stay in this one big group.
I'm indifferent.
Okay, then we'll stay in the big group. It's like that was it. Okay, we'll stay here for the time. Go ahead.
Okay, so time is up. Is my turn? Or...
Yeah, it was my time.
Oh, your time's up. Okay, so I'll pick somebody to reflect back. And why don't I ask Sonia, would you like to reflect back for me? Okay. Okay, so it's been very interesting to hear that Edwin sounds open to sort of a wide range of potential uses for the center, so that it keeps the opportunities. It keeps things broad and lots of potential.
I'm hearing that you like that Edwin is open to a more diverse set of offerings and skill sets that people are all bringing to the Empathy Center.
Yes, and I'm experiencing a delay where your mouth and your words aren't syncing, and I'm feeling distracted by that.
I'm sorry that you're feeling distracted by the delay. I am. My phone's dying. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That's
but I'm
fine.
listening.
I think we can work with that. And let's see. So I guess the topic what they're supposed to speak on is potential or vision for the center. I mean, I'm just noticing that there's so many rooms available. I mean, the capacity of that place is really big. It's, I don't know how many, 70, 80 if you had single occupancy. So, that really brings in a question like, would you want to utilize all that space and how? And that could be really exciting, and it could be really daunting at the same time.
I'm hearing that you're really intrigued by the number of rooms that are available and what those could be utilized for, and how that could be both opening for a lot of opportunities and also could be a little bit daunting in that it's so much space to fill.
Yes. And I guess since it's already under a nonprofit, then maybe Edwin has all that structure in place for fundraising and everything, because I guess that's a lot of resources to get things scaled up.
Yeah, I'm hearing that there is an awareness around the need for funding in order to scale up, and the need for resources specifically.
But kind of to Edwin's point, you don't really have to like work out the whole everything. There's a lot that can be done. Just start small and let it grow organically as well, and allow that to happen.
Yeah, I'm hearing that that Edwin and you are both in understanding that things can grow organically. It doesn't all have to happen all at once.
Yeah. So yeah. So, and I'd love to get involved and since I'm local, be able to come up and participate. I'm more of a hands-on, be present person, like be there, not on a Zoom all the time. So
I'm hearing that you are definitely an in-person and people person, and that you want to get your hands involved in this work.
Yeah, thank you. I feel heard. I think that's enough from me.
So Sonia, you pick your listener. We have Tina, Katrine, Jolie, and Raymond who haven't gone yet.
Okay, Tina, would you like to be my listener?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I am new here to this group, and as such, I don't have as clear of a vision as to what is what the long-term vision of the Empathy Center is. But in my own personal work, I see great need for it everywhere across the world, and in my own communities as well.
So Sonia, what I heard is that you're new here, so you don't have a vision right now, in particularly about the future of the center, but you are interested in learning more, and in time, that will help you to get a better picture of what the potential is for the center.
Yeah. In my own work, all of the healing modalities that I offer, I see a great need for it, just in the way that I interact with clients. And when I reached out to Edwin originally, it was possibly to offer breathwork circles, breathwork facilitation, which can be very vulnerable. And I know that work in empathy will really support people in feeling heard when they come and share their experiences around that vulnerability.
So you broke up a little bit, but I think what I heard was you reached out to Edwin with interest about an area you specialize in, which is breathwork circles. Did I hear that correctly?
Breathwork circles, yeah.
Breathwork circles?
Breathwork.
Breathwork. I'm sorry. I was trying to hear that, but there was a break. And so you sounds like you reached out to Edwin about breathwork circles to see if that process was a good fit for what Edwin's trying to achieve. Did I understand it correctly?
Yeah, yes. And just because it can be so vulnerable as a practice, it can really like open people's hearts up and can bring forth memories and that important as a component of how we integrate those things when they come up in the breath work.
So it sounds like your breath work, you feel that breath work has some of the process you think will be very helpful to those seeking to be a part of the Empathy Circle Center. They may benefit from breath work.
I think so. And I lastly, in terms of my personal vision for what could be offered through the Empathy Center, I have so many friends all over Santa Barbara. I spent about 10 years there. Sound healers, other breath workers, other massage therapists, and folks that are in this work. And I see that I'm the youngest person here, and maybe just the offering of my perspective from this age group could be a good offering for the Empathy Center.
So it sounds like you're mentioning the diversity. You're adding a diverse voice to the group that you're familiar with in terms of the Empathy Center, and that your experience you feel that would be a positive, inclusive benefit for the center to have your voice, which is representing a younger demographic. For the center, your voice would be a very positive influence in the center to have a voice that's an inclusive voice. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, in a way, I think it could be really positive. To get more specific, that maybe I represent a link in the multi-generational chain that I think is really important for, oh, it's time. it's in things like this.
Okay, so what you're seeing, it sounds like you're seeing that the representation for the center, in your view, it would benefit from having another generation represented to bring a more inclusive program, input, output to the center. And that sounds like it would be a positive in terms of the future of the center when you think about what it would look like to have a young voice involved with the development at this phase, the formative phase, to build a center, to be inclusive, to have all voices included. But you were breaking up a bit, so I'm not sure I got it all.
You did awesome. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Let me see who hasn't spoken.
I think Jolie and
Patrice?
Raymond.
I mean, who was said it again? Jolie? Okay. Hi, Jolie. Would you listen?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So I too have been thinking about in terms of vision for the center, being inclusive, what that may look like. And as I was listening to Sonia, having a younger voice represented in the formative stages where I believe you're at when you're thinking of how to build a center that can serve all peoples.
So if I'm hearing you clearly, that you're sharing that you agree with some of what Sonia shared about how the vitalness and the richness in having multi-generations involved and the diversity there to help make sure that all people's needs are heard and met, and just make the what the center does be more encompassing in meeting people where they're at, possibly.
Yes. And with all voices served, I had a question about how do you integrate in terms of homelessness into the center. I also heard that the center will have a scaling up ability to be able to host events, support events. But I wondered about how do you engage the homeless population?
Okay, so in part of the Empathy Center being involved in the community, you're really wishing that I'm wondering how the homeless population will be included in that and be welcomed and invited to be a part of what's going on there and what that would look like.
That's correct. And because of the scaling up, having it sounds like a multi-purpose facility. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that microphone was breaking, and I'm sorry. So, you started to speak. So, would you like to complete your thought when you were interrupted, or would you like me to flip back?
What a multi-purpose facility, which will be able to be very like a one-stop shop. I'm wondering if that's the vision where you can go and get guidance. I'm wondering if there will be opportunity for psychological support, or will it be a place where people can go to train for conflict resolution, education, skills, what
Can
that
I
might
start
look like.
back so I don't lose some of the pieces,
Okay.
please? Okay, yeah. So you're really curious and wondering what it would look like. Like, how is the center going to unfold? How is it going to um, really meet the needs of the homeless people? Is it going to be like an all-encompassing services offered and programs and resources available? And also, in addition to, because there can be well, there is a need for sometimes psychological intervention, people skilled in trauma informed or whatever needs these individuals may have, or all of us may have. And also the last piece of, is there also going to be training along those lines? Did I catch all those pieces?
Yes, you did great. Thank you. And yes, I do feel heard.
Okay, fabulous. So, let's see, I'm trying to think who hasn't gone.
Raymond is.
Oh, okay. Raymond, would you be willing to be my listener?
I'd be more than happy.
Okay, fabulous. Well, being here, I'm excited to be here again. I've been pondering about the center and the people I met last week. Just really curious about a couple things. One is how could I be in contact with various people? Like, how could people, if there's a master list of people that are interested in being involved in the center, like some of the people, anyway, I'll just pause there and then I'll continue. That's a lot.
Well, it sounds like you had a very good experience last week when you attended, I guess, physical orientation at the center. Is that correct?
No, it was part of the empathy circle. I came to my first meeting like this last Saturday, and there were a diverse group of people.
And it gave you an indication as to the potential of the empathy circles.
Yes, it did. And also just meeting the different individuals that were present were global. They were in all different places of the world. And I was really curious about their work, what are some of the practices they do in their work. They all are involved in a compassion work or empathy work, or both rather. And I was really curious about how to get connected to some of those folk, because of the circle structure didn't quite lend itself to that, just the way that it is. It's empathy practice.
It created a very curiosity in your mind about each of the individuals who spoke and what they did and how it might be possible to communicate with them directly.
Yes, yes. And also I in checking the website, Edwin's website, Empathy Center, and going through all the tabs on the website, I found it a little bit overwhelming trying to find information and wondering, I mean, there was a lot there, but in specific to the center, I was curious if there's any type of list or newsletter or any place on the internet to notice like what's already in place, what's taking place, like a calendar, what projects are already being initiated, if any, and that type of thing.
So after going through the website, you were somewhat confused about everything that was going on with the center, and that you thought it would be helpful to have a calendar and a regular type of newsletter or something that gave information on different things that were going on for and about the center.
Yes, because I mean, maybe I did. I mean, I was exploring, trying to find some things. I looked at different docs of different meetings and the upcoming training and that type of thing. And other than the recorded meetings and going through the transcripts, I wasn't clear on if there was another place to try and glean the information about what's taking place. Yeah, so I was curious about that, and if my skills in the administrative area in that way might be helpful if there isn't.
Oh, I'm sure that your skills would be very helpful, because it's important to have an organized type situation in any type of company or nonprofit or organization.
So you just
Thank
want to
you.
reflect back what Jolie
Yeah.
said, not sort of just that she's wondering if her skills would be helpful for doing that, is what I understood.
Yeah, and where to find information. And then also I'm curious about your organization, Raymond, because as an educator, I'm wishing to shift out of academics. I'm also looking to relocate to Santa Barbara to be more involved with the community and the nonprofits doing work in the schools, and be more involved with the center. And so I've considered doing a nonprofit and how to do that. And the processes, there's a lot of details, so it's a bit much at the moment trying to sort it all out and the how of going forth with that.
So at this point in your life, you'd like to be more involved in nonprofit type work, and you're interested in seeing what it would take to set up a nonprofit and be able to utilize your talents to better the world.
Specifically, the one piece that I guess wasn't clear was I specifically want to be focused on the same vision that Edwin was sharing about, and others in the meeting, of how when we're heard, when a person's heard, or you can identify what's going on in you, then you're able to be more present, like providing the empathy at the event that the local community is hoping to do in response to the war.
You there, Raymond? Looks like you might have frozen. On a cell phone, I think you may have frozen. I'll reflect back, just that maybe he'll come back, that you're looking at that you do want to work in a nonprofit, but you want to work on the same mission of fostering more empathy and for people to really feel heard, and it sort of resonated with you, the interfaith addressing, using empathy to address what's happening in the war. Oh,
Yes, and I'm trying to figure out the logistics of relocating to Santa Barbara so I could do that.
And want to relocate to Santa Barbara so you can do that. And that was also the time. So
thank you.
So Raymond, it's your turn if you want to select the listener. I think Katrine hasn't gone yet. So she.
Yes.
If Raymond, you want to speak to Katrine, it's Raymond's turn to speak. So I was suggesting he select you, since you're letting him know you haven't been able to go yet.
Yeah, that's fine with me if it's good for Katrine.
Would you like to reflect? Are you good? Okay. She says yes.
Yes.
Where are you from, Katrine?
Pardon?
Where are you from?
From Germany.
Are you in Germany now?
Karlsruhe.
Yeah. It's nice to see that we're able to communicate internationally, because empathy is so important in regards to creating understanding between people in different cultures.
So what did you hear Raymond say? If you just reflect that.
Yes. I heard you wanted to know where I am, and it's very interesting to to communicate international. And it's very important. The empathy is very important in all over the world.
Yes. And I think I'm probably the oldest person here. I'm 75. And I also think it would be very interesting to include very young people, even maybe down to the age of 5 or 6, because community is a multi-age type of situation, and it provides more fullness to everybody.
You think it's important to include every age, the youngest and until the oldest?
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. I do find it interesting that when everybody was speaking, questions came in my mind that it would be interesting to explore more. I'm not sure that this kind of a structure is conducive for that.
Oh, it's a little bit complicated. Would you like to tell me once more?
Okay, I'll be glad to. I found it interesting when I listened to the different people that questions came in my mind that I would like to ask. But I don't know that this situation or this methodology is conducive or, relevant or a good way to having a question and answer type of situation.
I heard while the other person speaking, there are questions in your mind, and you are not sure to ask.
Yeah, not sure if asking those questions is really possible in this kind of a methodology.
Okay. You are not sure if you can ask while the empathy circle.
Right.
It's not the structure.
Yeah. I believe that empathy could be a saving grace for humanity. Once people become empathetic for each other, especially if they're very different, there's less chance for fighting and being inhospitable with others.
Oh.
How about if I repeat it in maybe another way?
Thank you.
You're welcome. When people are understanding or empathetic of other people, there creates a bond.
Pardon?
And when a bond, a relationship of some sort,
Okay. Beziehung.
which makes it hard to become antagonistic or fighting, or it it's helps with people getting along rather than fighting.
Oh,
And
I'm out.
well, I understand you speak better English than I speak German, so
Perhaps somebody else can help me.
I can reflect that. So you're saying that you see that empathy creates connection, brings people together, and it keeps people from fighting, basically, or kind of helps with that. I think that's the core.
yeah, that's the basics. Mhm.
Thank you.
You still have time, I think.
Few
Okay.
seconds.
As far as the center itself, I think one of the questions that was asked, how we can be of value to the center. And I think each of us have different talents that, if all put together, could help advance the center's purposes and goals.
I heard that you
That
ask yourself to how to help advance the center.
Yeah, and how each of us can do that
Yes.
using our own individual talents.
Me? Pardon?
How each of us can do that using our own talents,
Yes.
things that we do well. In other words, some of us are, for example, myself, I've been in business most of my life. And I'm good at marketing and organizational and that. And there was, and sorry, I don't remember names, but there was a lady just recently that is a good administrator. So each of us have these abilities that we could use to help the center's goals.
I heard each of us have some abilities, and everybody can support with the own ability to build the center.
And
Yeah.
that was the time. Yeah. So Katrine, select your listener.
Jeanette is Jeanette war
Yes, I can be here. Sorry.
yes. Okay.
Yes.
You will be my listener.
Yes.
I'm very interested to be here in the empathy circle, and there's 1 year ago I had empathy cafe, and my idea is empathy in everywhere, in outside, in parks, and cafes, but yes.
So I'm hearing that you're very interested in being here, and that a year ago you had an empathy cafe everywhere. I mean, you had empathy circle or cafe, and you're interested in empathy everywhere, and I'm hearing you're curious about having more empathy in life.
Yes. But I think it's the people who know what it is, empathy, it's easy, I think. But the people who doesn't, the people who don't know, oder?
Yes, I'm hearing that it's easy with
Yeah.
people who
Don't know. I think they don't know what it is. Empathy. Many people, I think, they think that when I'm telling from me, it's empathy. So when you have a problem and then I tell you something from me, then it's empathy. I think it's very difficult for me how to be empathy with these people.
Yes, it's a challenge when people don't realize what empathy is. When you try to communicate, they think it's sympathy. And when you don't, did I get that right? That when you are trying to explain what empathy is, that it's more challenging with people who have not experienced it or have not practiced it in this manner.
Yes. Just today, I tried to explain what it is, empathy, but the other person was sure that sympathy is empathy. So how to explain somebody who doesn't want to hear?
Yes, it's challenging how to communicate to someone who has an idea of what it is, and to model that to someone when they already have an idea of what it is, and how do you connect with them to model that without finding resistance or something there that doesn't come across.
Yes, and I'm very very happy to have the possibility to tell you and hear what you understand from me. And and perhaps oh yes, my question, Raymond, is coming. So have you also this situation in your life? That's my question.
And you're wondering to Raymond,
Yes.
if he's had this situation come up in his life.
And that's the time.
Yes.
So
Thank you
have you spoken yet, Jeanette? Have you had a chance to be a speaker?
Yes.
So I think everyone's had a chance to be a speaker. So we can just go into a little bit of a any questions and answers and follow up. I thought or I was going to do this actually before we see if I have it, can do this here. To give you just a quick tour of the Empathy Center, just a few photographs. I was going to show this before we started the circle and I forgot. So this is the over an aerial view of it. So you can see that these are all the buildings. It backs up to the forest and the hills here behind Santa Barbara. And oops, I'm not able, I thought I could kind of forward page through here, but it's not page down. Oh, let me see. I guess I can't. I thought I could be able to just scroll through these pictures, but I'm not able to. So we'll skip that part. I don't want to try to figure it out. So I did want to just kind of open it up to any questions and answers, before, and then we'll have a little debrief. And I did have a couple of things I did want to bring up. See if I can bring up my notes here. That I'm going to be driving down tomorrow, actually. So I'll be in Santa Barbara for about 3 weeks. And I had thought that maybe on Saturday the 4th or Sunday the 5th, we could actually have an empathy circle or a meeting at the center. And so I'm just checking. So it would be really Beth, Jolie, Jeanette who are there. Would any of those days work for you, or?
Don't we have the summit on the 4th in the morning, right?
We do. We have the summit. Oh, that's true. That's gonna be a busy day. We do the summit on the 4th, and then we're going to do this visioning in the afternoon. So that would be a lot. So maybe a Sunday.
Well, I don't know if it's the late afternoon or Sunday.
Sunday works for me. Sunday, November 5th. Yes.
Okay. What time? Like afternoon or be good? Or I'm pretty open.
Maybe, I don't know, late morning before it gets too hot. I don't know.
That appeals to me as well, because then I could come up and there's activities I like to do in town in the afternoon and evening. So then I could make a full day of it. I'd enjoy coming up Sunday.
Okay. Is Jeanette?
Yeah, I'm open to Sunday so far.
And I'm hearing late afternoon. Is that like 11? Is that?
Yeah.
No, late morning, I think you said, or what did you say, afternoon?
Late morning, maybe 11.
11, okay.
Is everyone happy with that?
That works for me. So we're talking about November 5th, 11 a.m. for maybe hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm putting it in my calendar.
We'll have a little empathy circle and bring some friends, and I'll put the word out that anybody else can stop by. Jolie, yeah?
So it would be it'd be an empathy circle there. Okay.
Yeah. And a little tour or, beforehand, and then sit and visit. And
sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. So, so any other comments or questions about the center? Anything you just want to, there was a couple of things. You have a question, Jonathan? Go for it.
Yes, Edwin. Is the electricity and telephone system wires, are they undergrounded or are they on wires up to there?
It's underground. So
yeah,
it's underground, phone, electrical. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just that I thought I could scroll through those photos because that would give you more of a sense of the property. Maybe I will try one more time to bring that up. I have some photos. Oh, I know. We have the Empathy Center and we have our tour. So this is a web page that has a tour of the property if you want to get a sense of it. There's a photo tour as well as this Google slides, not slides. So this is the property. You can see it, it's in quite a nice area just up on a hill overlooking, Santa Barbara. From the center here to downtown Santa Barbara is only like 10 minutes, so it's really conveniently located. The property consists of this whole hill right here. So it goes all the way to the bottom, so the bottom of the hill on this side. This building here is a gym. It's a 2 basketball court gym. The parts here, do you see my cursor? Does that show up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So these sides have been renovated, and we're just needing to do some extra work on it. There's 7 bedrooms on this building. There's about 8 or so in on this building for the staff. And there's a dining room and a multi-purpose room. And the one we held the workshop in is here under the chapel. We call that the garden room. So that room is available. There's a multi-purpose room here that's available. There's a dining room here that's available, usable now. And there's a library over at this end that it's not going to take too much to fix it up, and that room is available. So those are the rooms. You can kind of get a sense of the property. There's this long driveway. It's about 250 feet from the base where you enter up to the top. So it's quite a drive. And so that's just a quick tour of the space. And when we meet, just come to the office. I think you saw the community room area over here. You can just meet there. So yeah, that's just a little quick tour. And then we can also, when we're there, we can talk about maybe setting up an ongoing empathy cafe. So I think it'd be good to have a weekly or bi-weekly or something just to kind of get the ball rolling with the empathy circles in person.
Now it's a bit kind of a remote area. Once you start driving up that driveway, it's kind of remote. So what do you have? You have a family that's a caretaker right now that lives up there, or?
Yeah, there's a family. It's a groundskeeper. He had been there for like I think 20 years or so doing the groundskeeping, and his son is the caretaker with his wife, so they live there permanently. They just had a baby, so Raymond was saying, "Oh, we need 5 years old. Well, we have a 6-month-old." So
yeah,
there and Christian, he's the caretaker, and he did the facilitator training last time. So yeah,
really?
there.
It'll be interesting to see like how, if you're just having somebody go up to meet a bunch of people, not knowing who's going to be there, who's supposed to be there, or who to expect, that could get interesting. So I guess we'd have to see how that, or just feeling of security reasons.
Right. Yeah, because you're kind of remote in that sense, but
It's
they're
kind of remote driving up there.
But they live there, full time, so they're in that staff building.
Yeah.
And we're going to put in some security cameras and stuff as we get all that set up.
Yeah.
Security is important.
There's a question in the chat. Will you have retreat program packages? Is everything free of charge?
Right now, we're just offering it just to get the ball rolling. We have Rodley Weiniger. She has a group, the Mindful Heart group. They've been helping a lot getting things set up, and we've co-led workshops. So that group is just using the space, on a monthly basis. There's another group that is going to start using it, and they're doing it by donation to begin with. So just to get prime the pump, get things going, it's just going to be by donation. But then obviously we'll have to, have the facilities, mapped out what the facilities are and some kind of a, cost structure for it. So we'll definitely, we have. There's part of the vision is how to make it financially viable. So the topic of donors and all that came up too. So that's another important part. And there is this these buildings here, there's see, so we're talking about 15 rooms that are pretty close to being usable. And then there is this dormitory that that's space for, I think the previous seminary, they had about 50 some odd, space for about 50 some odd people. And then they had converted this area down here behind my shoulder into another accommodations area. And it was like little small, just open dormitory kind of space for, I don't know, probably about 50 people, 40 people. So anyway, but all this side needs to be renovated, but this other side on the top is pretty usable, pretty close to making that accessible.
So are there separate logistic meetings, or is this kind of it? Or you're waiting until the design, you have the guidance of the code design, the human design kind of facilitation to help navigate that?
Yeah, this is our sort of an introduction, community connection. So it's a way to connect with us, see how you might like to get involved. So this is sort of the main, it's been ongoing for probably 6 months or more, 7 months. We have our staff, my brother and the facilities person. We meet every day to talk about all the stuff that needs to be done. And we're slowly ramping up. I would say that's the facilities, and then the programming is we're just slowly ramping that up. So the facilitator training, the workshops Rodley is doing, these other groups. So we're just slowly seeing who wants to start using the space, and especially this room in the back, the garden room seems to be a nice room. People are like that space to start using it. So there's no like committee or something to talk about the use of the space. We're just kind of in pre-committee space, I would say.
Great. And would you prefer if individuals have, in addition to this meeting, like if, like myself, if there's things we wish to contribute in a way to help with logistics or administrative or being there on site to help hands-on, how would you like that to be approached? I can imagine you being contacted by many people.
Yeah, so I'm thinking this meeting that we're starting on Sunday, to start something like that on an ongoing basis, so you can come in person, we can talk about it, we can do some empathy circles, you can see how you'd like to be involved. And Sonia was saying, oh, she'd like to volunteer on some kind of projects, and we haven't set up that process yet. So I think it's starting a regular meeting, like cafe, and then kind of talk about kind of some projects that people might want to do. Like one project would be is to clean up the library, and we want to make that available for community groups too. So that's like one project to do. I don't know if that kind of answers it. It's not like, I think just kind of meeting and kind of setting that infrastructure up. You can see we're really in a sort of a startup phase, and there's just a lot of structures and systems to set up from scratch, so. And if you have suggestions for how to do that, or be good.
I'm wondering if, because I've been percolating this week of how I could come alongside and possibly partner with some of my skills, and wanted to see, would you be open to me creating like a generic Google form survey kind of thing of what are your areas of expertise? How would you like to contribute? What are some things that skills or energy that you'd like to contribute? And
Yeah,
that day
that'd be
could
good. Yeah, so it's more
Okay, great.
systematic. I love tables, right? Tables with that would be good to
Okay,
get started
great.
with that. So you could say, "Hi, these are my skills. This is what I'd like to contribute."
Okay.
Maybe think even of some, volunteer project. Like Sonia was saying, she'd want to do some kind of gardening type work too. And this plaza here, we do want to. I just bought some winter rye, so I want to sort of when the first rain comes, plant the winter rye so we can get sort of a cover crop to start improving the soil. and then would
Mhm.
like to get, build not flower beds, but
Mhm.
gardening, beds to actually raise vegetables and stuff. So we do want to set up permaculture, program. I'm talking with some people who do art programs. So we want to have a building there that's sort of an art program. And I keep talking to the artist community, say, oh, come to this space. Let's, start some meetings about how to create an art center in the gym. There's a little building in front of the gym that I think would be a nice place for an art center. So it's a lot of the creativity that you have, we're kind of at the beginning, so there's a lot of potential for bringing your creativity up at a table with where people could put their name, how they'd like to be involved, their skills would be great.
Okay.
Jonathan?
Quick question. The library, are you going to populate it with books?
Right now it's has like tons, it has a lot of Catholic books, and we kind of wanted to get rid of them. So that's actually a project for somebody if they want to take that on. We want to get rid of those books and ideally sell them. So I even thought that if somebody wanted to take that on as a project to sell those books, that could kind of compensate them for the time they spend. Plus we could use any sort of excess money for setting up the workshop. So, but in terms of more books, I'm not sure. Maybe more of not a Catholic library, but
I
so heavy.
might have access. I was thinking more of a plants history, some books that were related to
Yeah, that's true.
the earth.
I have a whole big library of empathy books. You can't see it. It's behind me here from all the authors I've interviewed. So like empathy books, the permaculture gardening, I think is what you're saying. Yeah. So so those kind of things that people could use more, yeah.
So it's possible
Secular.
that you'll develop a library.
Yeah. I think I'll take all these books down there too. Oh,
There's
and
another question in the chat. Sorry, it's just for your notice.
okay. And Beth, you had your hand up.
Yikes.
Yeah, hi. So I'm going to take my hand down. Okay. Have you thought about or considered yet any liability issues now that you're starting to bring people up there? Like, do you have to take out an insurance policy or something?
Yeah, my brother was dealing with that. He just took out a policy liability. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
I not interviewed. I lived a year at Esalen, and I know the son of one of the founders, David Price. So, and plus he'd been director at Esalen, I think, for 10 years. And he was the first person I contacted and said, hey, David, what's any suggestions, for the center? And his was liability.
Yeah.
So you're right on the mark there in terms of
Fortunately,
yeah. And there was a question: is it a green space, solar energy community garden? We would like I was saying, permaculture, Tina, permaculture, regenerative, culture. So in the maybe I'll just show that real quick before we get to Raymond. So here's let me see if I can get this to spin. So, there we go. This little building here is where we're looking at the art center because it's sort of a standalone little building. Then there's 2 basketball gym behind there. And I thought kind of on this side here, we could have some sheds and stuff for sort of setting up a permaculture. And eventually this hill here is just a bunch of debris that was there that we can kind of flatten that out, have some gardens here, and also some garden. This is where this area here is the plaza, put gardens there. We've talked about getting rid of some of the parking lot to have less parking spaces up here and, make it more plants and gardens. Over here, looking at maybe like an orchard, so it'd be very garden, orchard, permaculture, and even like terracing. If we could terrace some of these hills here for gardening. So definitely, yeah, want to do gardening. Raymond?
Yeah, I'd be interested in helping as much as possible. I have owned 2 art galleries in San Francisco, so that's one area I can help. And then as far as fundraising, right now I have a company that helps startups and early stage companies raise capital. So I'm relatively good at helping with fundraising.
Oh, great. Yeah. And where are you located?
In Concord, it's east of San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Walnut
well,
Creek.
yeah, that'd be great. Fundraising is going to be a big part of it. My brother purchased the property for $7.5 million. He's willing to put in several more million for renovation. And then our nonprofit, the Empathy Center, is going to be leasing it from his LLC. And then we'll have to do fundraising for the nonprofit. And he's going to take care of more of the facilities part. And we got to kind of raise money for the programming. And it's very much about building a movement, an empathy movement. So it's just not, oh, here's this empathy center, but it's like, can we think in terms the bigger picture of really building an international empathy movement and see what we can do to raise the level of empathy in society. So yeah, if you want to send me an email or just keep coming to these meetings to share your ideas for that would be great.
Yeah, I'll do both. I'll send
Okay.
you an email and with my contact information.
And I'll put mine in there, Edwin Rutch at gmail.com. It's all over all the different web pages. So Jolie, yeah.
Yeah, so this is more logistics and media. I'm noticing in the area like tomorrow there is a high wind warning in it, and being from the area, it makes me think of the Thomas fire that came through. And I also was on the safety team at my school and creating the plan and wondering if there's a safety plan in place for all sorts of things like the security aspect, if there's an unsafe individual or individuals situation, or just a fire event, like if there's protocols in place yet or if they still need development.
We don't have that in place yet. No, we haven't gotten there to that. The fire issue is the T fire burned through that whole area. I don't know if that was 2008. So I did see a video of the center from down, way below, and the entire hill had burned all the way around I think that the only real damage was that the heat cracked some of the windows of the dormitory. So the buildings are all, brick, cement roofs with, clay tiles on top. So it's really built. Everybody says the bones are great. It's not like there's the roofs are held up by, steel beams. So it's like some European, I lived in Germany for a long time. They're like solid. It's very solidly built. And we had a fire. The fire department came up and they just drove up. They're just kind of coming saying hello. And they said they'd feel safe, like standing in the middle of this plaza in the middle of a fire, because so it has that built-in fire safety. Plus, we're looking at kind of trimming the trees and seeing about if we can get permaculture going, get goats up there to kind of do more clearing of that. Yeah. So, okay, if there's, oh yeah, Jeanette, you're muted.
I have to go.
Okay,
This
yeah, we're
is-
going to close.
Wait, this has been
Mhm.
very helpful. Edwin, I'll send you an email because 2 minutes away from the center is the Botanic Garden, and they might have resources, and I have a pass for you, whether you want to go on your own or I could take you over there, whatever. It's just around the corner from the center. And they might be able to, if you don't, provide resources for the permaculture and gardens. And they have lots of volunteers. So just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, somebody actually who works over there or volunteers there, he contacted me and said he was interested in the permaculture aspect. And he was also in our, the workshop we did with Rodley, the mindfulness. So there's several people have sort of reached out around that. So definitely want to connect. And I did reach out to the Santa Barbara Permaculture Network. And I invited them to use the space for free. So they had some events they were doing. And once that was over, they said they'd reach out. So we'd like to bring the whole permaculture community up to start using the space. So, and tap into their community. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and maybe
and-
there could, one last thing before I go. I know my daughter has done a lot of stuff in the workaway communities where they host a few people. There's a volunteer coordinator, and then they host the volunteers and provide some housing for, let's say, a week or whatever at a time. And then they get the work done. So it's just, a lot of this is logistics. So
yeah.
anyway, thank you very much, all of you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. See you. Jolie.
Oh, I was just waving goodbye.
Oh, bye. Okay. Well, okay. Well, I don't want to keep us over. We're about 10 minutes over this. So looking forward to next week. We will continue this. I'll be at the center. And then next week in the morning, we have our Empathy Summit. So that's 10 a.m. Pacific time. And it's at the Empathy Center, theempathycenter.org is the link to that Empathy Summit. The topic is, what is the role of empathy in conflict resolution? And then we'll have this in the afternoon, 1 p.m. Pacific. And then the next day, Sunday, we'll have our in-person one. So looking forward to that. So with that, we shall thank you, everybody. Just some jazz hands goodbye for now. And thanks for being here, and hope to see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jolie.